that I want to say what the Council should do. The Council should actually understand the seriousness of what is happening here. Hungary is no longer a democracy. There is sitting around the table a country among the 27 that is no longer a democracy. And I was in Budapest last week and speaking to many parliamentarian students, journalists, NGOs, and they are tired, downhearted, and sometimes even demoralized. And we cannot leave them alone. But the fundamental point is that the Council should understand the seriousness of the fact that this country is no longer a democracy. And that means that also every conversation about reforms, about what the government in Hungary is now trying to do to maximize results in terms of getting funding unfrozen in exchange for minimum effort. Minimum effort that can also be turned back. Because that is the warning we got also back in Hungary, that even the small steps that are now on the table could be easily revoked again without us even having the potential of intervention. So the Council should really start to understand the seriousness of it. And it affects every topic, every other topic of our work here in the EU. And Viktor Orban still seems to live under the illusion that he can use the EU as a cash machine, as an ATM, without bearing the consequences of the signature, of signing up to the values of this union. And I think that he has to understand that he cannot have it both ways. You cannot be a member of the EU happy with a few, and the EU being happy with a few small changes, and then curtailing Hungarians and playing into Putin's hands at the same time. That is not a possibility, that is not an option, and the Council should understand this. And I also want to stress a point that has not been mentioned yet. Orban's detrimental impact on the EU's foreign policy. He is vetoing important decisions, for example, in support of Ukraine, damages our credibility hugely externally. And that would obviously become more detrimental if Hungary was to hold the presidency of the Council. And indeed, I emphasized the importance of this particular presidency. Every presidency is important, but this one is particularly important, not to speak about the warm relations of Mr. Orban with not only Putin, but also with clear destabilizers like Vučić and Dodik. It would be a disaster if this country would get the hold of the presidency and Orban would do what he already said publicly. He would try to push his agenda, his agenda, the agenda of Hungary, into the European Union, which obviously, clearly, is not the task of a country holding the presidency. So I think that we are way beyond the moment of a warning. We urge the Council to take action. And to end with, I actually am really sick and tired of hearing back from the Council that they had a good discussion, a good exchange, and that the discussion, also yesterday, helped them to understand the problems. We are way beyond that point. We should act now. Thank you. Maybe to add to Gwendolyn, if I may, on the question on the Janša government, I disagree. I vividly remember, for example, just an example, the communique after the fall of Kabul, which was clearly inspired by a toxic, very bad narrative, because the Council is holding the pen. The Council is holding the pen when starting with these communiques. And also, the Janša government only just started, very much inspired by his good friend Orban. So I would say, you ain't seen nothing yet. Because this government, and Orban in particular, clearly expressed that he wants to push his agenda, that he wants to use this presidency. So I think that the comparison with the Janša government, that fortunately also gives us the example of a country that can change for the better. But I think he was only just starting, and I think this is clearly a point where I think the Council does not understand the seriousness of what is ahead of us.